Well, if you have been accepted to a university this year in 2022, it could be worthwhile knowing that several universities have approved mandatory vaccinations, of course, in an attempt to help curb the spread of the coronavirus, which so far, as we saw a moment ago, has claimed the lives of over 90,000 people in the country. But as you'd expect, there's quite a lot of criticism around this. For more on this, I'm joined by Head of Operations at Universities South Africa, Meyer. Hello to you, Linda. All the best for the year ahead. So let's talk about this criticism for a moment, if we could. Some saying it's unfair. You can't force students to vaccinate to get an education. What's the reaction to that sort of comment?
I think that we need to obviously take everybody's opinions into consideration, but universities have the legal right to require that whoever accesses their sites is vaccinated. There's obviously no law in South Africa that makes any mandatory requirement for vaccination, and this remains the choice of the student to study with institutions where mandatory access vaccinations is not required. Many of the universities have made provision in terms of online education, but we need to start looking at the broader social and collective good to ensure that everybody on campuses are safe. This includes staff, students, and service providers that access the site and general members of the public.
So some of the criticism as well, I'm sure many people will of course agree with that line of thoughts. Some criticism coming through is also that why is it some universities are deciding to do it and not others? I think this is where some of the confusion is coming in.
So we must remember that universities are regulated by their councils, which includes their student representatives, outside parties, and members appointed by the minister, as well as the university management. So each university has a respective statute, their own act, and it is a consultation process. University management can't unilaterally impose the requirement for vaccination on sites, and this therefore would require a differential approach from various universities to ensure that their stakeholders have been fully consulted before they make this policy decision for this requirement for universities. None of the parties in universities or any stakeholders are excluded from these decisions. So we do anticipate that more universities will come online as the consultation process progresses. But obviously, first and foremost, we need to encourage everybody to get vaccinated because this really is the only way that we're going to turn the curve of the infections.
Yeah, I don't think there are many people who are going to argue that at all, but let's suggest there are going to be some who are going to now refuse to study because they're being forced to vaccinate. Not so much forced to vaccinate, it's a case, isn't it, Linda, of if you want to study at our institution, these are our conditions. But I suppose the question could be asked, is there any kind of grey area? Is there a way of assisting students who are perhaps into their second and third year at a particular university or institution who don't want to get vaccinated but want to continue studying? Is there a way around that?
Well, certainly the universities have tried to put programs online. They are trying to make alternative options available to students. But we must remember some of the programs simply have to be face-to-face. And I'm talking about the engineering and the medical programs. These things cannot be done online. They require people to be on site. So students at the end of the day would have to decide. Obviously, where there is a student that has a comorbidity or a staff member that has a comorbidity, everything is being done by institutions to ensure that these individuals are being supported. So be it N95 masks that are being required, that they are given their own offices, these things are certainly being done. It's not an arbitrary decision that has been made by universities to try and exclude anybody from campuses. But at the end of the day, as we said, we need to start looking at the greater good of the collective and to ensure that everybody is safe.
Very brief answer, if it's at all possible, Linda. Is there a sort of central website students can go to, perhaps still looking to register, where they can see the list of universities that are making vaccinations mandatory? Because it can be quite confusing as to who is and who isn't.
They can go onto the USAF website, usaf.ac.za, to see which universities have mandatory access vaccinations as a requirement.
Well, I appreciate your time in speaking to us. I'm sure we'll speak again the closer we get to university students coming back for what I think all of us were hoping was going to be a normal year, but it seems not the case for the moment. Linda, thank you very much indeed. Linda Meyer, Head of Operations at Universities South Africa. You got the website address if you're wondering if it's your university or the one you want to go to. That's the website you go to.